What's going on, North Lake Nation? Sitting down today with one of my good friends, Danielle, and friend, right? And if you were a member here, you guys all know Danielle and what she does for us, and she'll go through that in a minute. But wanted to talk a little bit about today mobility and what our day-to-day jobs are as adults, and we come into this huge playground that I call CrossFit. And one of the questions that I get, and also issues that Danielle and I talked before we did this video, but one of the issues that we see is that as we get older, myself being 39 now, I've noticed that my mobility that I didn't really have when I played football it's catching up, as she said. When I was younger, I could just kind of power through movements, and as I get older, I do feel my mobility restrictions more. Case in point, doing thrusters today. As Kenzie had told me today, it looks more like a squat press. But case in point, a lot of adults have 8-hour jobs that they may sit down and they're typing in this position 8 hours a day, and they just get entrenched in their work and never get up, right?
Yeah.
And then they come in here and they expect to see gains. And with this being a functional facility, they come in here and we go plyometric box jumps, and we go into Olympic movements, and we go into these front rack positions that we ask people to get into, and we go to these huge hip extension movements. After sitting like this all day, we expect them to go into these hip extension movements that they have to get underweight, right? And in my opinion, this is a ticking time bomb. It's important to mobilize as you're younger, but becomes even more important to mobilize as we get older. So Danielle's gonna sit here and talk to us today. She does our yoga class on Saturday mornings at 8:30, and she's gonna give you a little bit about what her background is and what she does.
Yeah, so I actually have an accounting background, so I'm one of those that sits at my desk all day for 8 hours like this, and have taught yoga for I think 5 years now. So I have my 200-hour teacher training at Y2 Yoga here in Charlotte. Primarily just did yoga for like 5 years, and then took a couple CrossFit classes and have a gymnastics background, so it really fit really well. But I noticed, like, when I would come to class, like how many limitations there were in people. I'd like, when we do back squats, I'd look over and like people couldn't squat, below parallel, not for strength reasons, but for mobility issues. Another one, like he said, front rack position, people couldn't get their elbows under. So I thought, like, it would be really awesome if these people did yoga. It was a difficult start, I would say. Like, I think I had like 2 or 3 people that would come to class.
Yeah. But how many did you have last week?
20.
20
so
people. Yeah.
It's been for about a year, pretty solid. It's been 15 to 20 people that come, and a lot of them stay for the Saturday workout, which they say is like their best workout because they are so open and stretched. And so yeah, we're just gonna keep on yogaing away.
And I think one of the things she didn't talk about is one of the advantages. Like, I fully understand there's a difference between mobility and the primary movers in your shoulders and hips and ankles versus stretching when it comes to yoga. But I think one of the biggest advantages that we have here is that Danielle works out here. She's able to look at the programming. So when you come to her class, it's not, as she would tell me, she doesn't do Zen yoga. It's hip hop yoga. Chin chain, whatever, she comes in and she keeps it moving, but she does address mobility in the joints at the same time. So she's not just sitting there saying go downward dog, upward dog, although that's incorporated into the programming. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you do some hip mobility and shoulder mobility as well.
For sure, both. And I do teach very different than I teach at a yoga studio, knowing that CrossFitters in general are very goal oriented. So if I were to say, like, you should be able to touch your toes, they're going to do anything that they can to touch their toes, even though their toes are not touchable. So I really teach from a standpoint of these people are movers, so they like to move. Like, a lot of CrossFitters struggle with doing yoga because it's hard for them to sit still in a pose for 3 minutes, whereas you go to a yoga studio, they'll stay there all day. So I keep it moving so that their brains don't even have time to think like, oh, I'm doing yoga right now. Yeah. It's a deep stretch athletic yoga class.
So there you have it, another program, 8:30 Saturday mornings, yoga with Danielle. We need to come up with a cool name. Catch your name. What are you thinking?
Not Realmwad.
No. She said I didn't. Appreciate you guys.
Thank
Peace.
you.